So today we talked to Rossi Dobson, who is currently a rider in the BSB Junior Supersport Championship for the Affinity Sports Academy. And in this interview, we talked about how Rossi got into racing, how his number came about, what his plans for the year are, and we also talked about his passion for racing. So I hope you enjoy. It's the first interview I've ever done like this, and it was a wee bit rough and ready, but I hope you enjoy. The interview had sort of started and then had to restart it because we lost connection, but we tried. So hope you enjoy. Thanks very much.
Did that end?
Still on?
Are we still recording or not? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Stop recording. There we go. Right, so start again. So tell us about. Tell us about how you sort of get started in racing and sort of who you are, what your race number you usually use, why you use it, and what series you currently race in.
Rossi Dobson, I'm 18 from Belfast. Been racing now 12 years, so I'm into my 13th season now. I'm racing in the British Junior Supersport Championship at the minute for the Affinity Sports Academy team run by Ron, Leon, and Anne Haslam. So part of a good team there, and things are going well at the minute. Number 66. I've been 66 all my life. There's no real story behind how it came about. There's nothing special about I can actually remember my dad telling me
the number. Just the number you walked. Just the number you walked in the bike one day.
No, not even, because whenever I did my first race when I was 5, there was number 11 on the bike, just by chance. Get into 20. What age was I be then? 2011 when I turned 6. Yeah, my first actual race season. I can remember my dad filling out my license and all this carry. I was like, "What number do you want to be?" And I was just like, 66. That was it. Simply said that there, and that's stuck with me for 12 years now. And it's the type of thing. It's sort of my own number. Not many people have 66, so it's. I feel like I own it. I don't intentions of changing it.
Fair enough. That's the only other person I could think of that sort of uses the sort of 66 would be Peter Hickman, but I think he uses 666 more than double.
Yeah, he's 666 on the TT and stuff. Or
no,
not?
He's not 60.
Northwest. I'm talking about. But the only other rider I ever knew, just growing up, was Tom Sykes. It came to mind. No one else would really use it. And it's one of those numbers you don't see a lot, to be honest.
No, it's a strange one because there's a lot of riders use similar numbers. Like there's a couple of riders in the Junior Superstock use the number 7. Like it's Jamie Lyons did, and then there was another guy I can't remember the name of right now.
Yeah,
they sort of use 7 and 70.
Yeah, a lot of people sort of like that single digit sort of number. That's not really my thing. So obviously with any championship, and you're maybe 40 riders there, and if you've only got 10 numbers, inside those sort of single digits before it goes into doubles. A lot of people always try and fight for. I always notice between 3 and about 8. People love getting around there. 5, 6, 7. People love those numbers, but I'm sort of just a wee bit different. Stick with 66, and I'm happy with that.
And one of your teammates in the Junior Supersport, Adam Brown, he runs 33 as well. So it's sort of that's a nice wee partnership, 33 and 66.
Well, Adam's actually number 3, but he was forced to change it, just because another rider who raced last year has it, so I'm sort of lucky in that sense that not many people have 66. So I generally always get it, where Adam had to change this year to 33, and it's strange seeing him with that number. I'm used to seeing the number 3,
because I'm used to seeing you all sort of, because I was obviously involved in like different clubs in the USBK Championship of sort of seeing different riders about, and your name always sort of stuck out for some reason. I always remember always sort of saying, "Oh, Rossi's doing all right." Like,
I think it's one of those things. But the way my name sort of sticks out, it's because it's for Rossi. It's a different. It's not a common one. it's one of those ones, like, people think that I'm actually called Ross, so I just go by Rossi. I'm genuinely not. If you look at my birth certificate, it says Rossi. You know, it's definitely, it's different. It's definitely out there. Now, if you're involved with bikes, you completely get it. You know what it's all about, where, you know, some random off the street get it. So it's one of those names. A lot of people will tell me when I meet them, you know, it sticks with them just because it's a bit different, you know?
Yeah. No, I remember your win at the Mid-Antrim event last year, because I remember doing the flags for it, and I remember just watching you sort of closer and closer, and then you just sort of got it in the last couple of laps.
That was during the last season. That was my toughest race of the year, because I had started very, very late last year. I only joined in the championship in May, and that was the Mondello Masters. So I didn't ride a bike before that up until, what was it? It was September. I last rode a bike because it was the last round of BSB. Sat out the entire winter, no tests, no nothing. And I was on the Moto 3. So get into this into 2022. I mean, I didn't even have a bike until May, and it was so quick how I came around because we had a couple of good sponsors who wanted me back on a bike. We agreed that we were changing from Moto 3, going to something else. We didn't know what we were going to do, but we just wanted to change, needed something different. We saw a wee Yamaha, thought, okay, we'll look at that. Within about, I don't know, maybe a week and a half, the bike was ours, and I went up after football training one night on, I think it was a Tuesday or Wednesday. Looked at it, you know, sat on it, those sort of things, and I raced it on the Saturday, and that's what kickstarted my season. But that when you're talking about, that was around July time or something. That was sort of that was sort of the start of my season, if you want to say, because at the previous round at Mondello Masters, I don't know, a week or two, whatever it was before, I'd won 2 races on the Sunday, but I didn't feel comfortable. It sounds silly, I'm winning races, but I was riding the way I know I can ride. And that weekend at Bishop's Court, I had my work cut out for me because, well, it turns out there was a few boys breaking the rules, so I had to ride a wee bit extra hard, you know. And the Saturday was not a bad day, did what I had to do. But on the Sunday, it was different. I knew I had the beating of the boys, albeit I was struggling in areas of the track. Just the top end speed just wasn't the same as the other ones. But that was because it was within the rule book, you know. But I made that race really difficult, you know. Terrible start, and actually, when I came off the line, second, third, and fourth, I missed them. So I dropped back to about 10th overall, like down the front straight, and then, you know, just chipped away, and I passed. It was my teammate for this year, Adam Brown. I passed him on the penultimate lap down into the hairpin, and I sort of knew if I can hang off these boys into the final chicane, the race is mine. So, you know, I'm coming out of the first chicane through the flat out one. I'm just coming into that second chicane, the one that sort of makes or breaks a race, and I just knew if I can go in here and I'm leading, race is mine. Got through it, and I won a good race that day. And as I'm sure you've probably seen in the video, I gave it a lot of fists in the air, and I was really happy. That was what really kickstarted my season properly, I think, because once I went back to USBK or Mondello Masters after that, I was pretty much on a winning streak. You know, I won like from the 2 races the weekend before in Mondello. I won. I don't quote me on this. It was something like 8 out of the 10 races I was in. So that just gave me a bit of rhythm, and from that point, that's what got me going. You know.
Oh yeah, gotcha. And that probably helped you with this season, sort of going into this season on that sort of high.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Mondello Masters thing, how it all even came about. I mean, I've never been a rider that's went out to try and win a championship or try and do well in a championship, as silly as that sounds, because everyone wants to do well. You know, I only care about an individual race. That's all I care about. You know, and those wins at Bishop's Court, because of the way the championship works, they also feel like I already missed like 3 or something, so it wasn't even as if I had any contentions of winning the championship. So I knew that I was out of my mind before going. So all I wanted to do was just win races, and if I won 2 on a weekend, I was happy. So the difference was at Mondello Park, because I have 3 races in a weekend. You have an extra race to sort of make up, and you know, my first weekend, it was 3 races. I think it was 3 thirds or something. So I was right off. You know, I was getting podiums off the block, and I think by my 3rd round at Mondello, I got told, "Oh, you're leading the championship, by the way," and I was like, "Well,
yeah.
I had no idea about it." And then it was the final 6 races, maybe 7 or 8 races, which is spaced over 2 events.
Yeah.
that's what really got me thinking, you know what, I could actually win this year. And that was a nice way to finish the season, winning the championship. And I won quite a few races at Mondello, and I was only off the podium once, and that was the race I won the championship. I needed the finish. The championship was between me and Jack Birdie, and there was 5 of us battling for the lead in the race, and I was leading the first 2 laps, and another rider passed me, sort of pushed me out wide, and I sort of knew if I can even just stay behind Jack just for the rest of the race, I don't care about sort of where I finish. If I'm directly behind him at the finish line, the championship's mine. So I rode really reserved actually. Crossed the line, championship was won. And that was a nice way to finish the season because I didn't get out for race 2 or 3 because the next race I didn't even get as far as turn 1 without getting hurt. But it was nice to go into the winter knowing, you know what, I rode okay this season. The lap times were good, and once we got our plan in place to go to BSB for this year, it set me on a high because I knew that if things worked out, that I could do well this year, and so far it's been going pretty well.
You sort of got a best of a P11 so far, and that would have been the first round because your class has only run twice, hasn't it?
Yeah, at the minute, we've already done Silverstone and most recently Donington Park. We got 11th in race 1, so that wasn't a bad start to the championship. You know, on a brand new bike. You know, I only seen the bike on the Thursday. That was my first ever riding on it. So to go out and sort of fighting around that top 10 group right away was a good start for us. You know, and we've continued with that. And obviously, I broke into the top 10 at the last round, but for other reasons, I didn't actually get the official result. But you know, I'm sort of showing that, you know, when things work out on the day, I can be at the sharp end of British Championship. So I'm really happy in the minute. But like, I mean, we're 2 rounds in. It's an 8-round championship for us. I'm not even going to attempt to talk about, you know, what I want to do results wise or championship this. It's just 1 round at a time, because it's such a weird championship. You know, you could be at the sharp end 1 week and you're 25th the next, or you're 30th, or you're worse. It's one of those championships. It's very hard to be consistent. So the first 2 rounds have went well. We're at Knockhill in a couple of weeks, and I just want to try and keep that momentum going because I know if I can keep it going, then good riding will happen, results will come. So no, we're in a good place at the minute.
Yeah, because I remember your teammate Adam Brown put it on pole, I think, for the very first race. Yeah. So obviously the bike's there. The bike's it's sort of getting comfortable, trying to get the speed in. Every rider's style is different, so maybe Adam's just suited Silverstone on that bike, and you haven't found your track just yet.
Well, Adam's one of those riders. He's fast off the block. You know, even when we went to Spain, you know, we went to Cartagena, and right away Adam was quick. And Adam is like that off the blocks. He is quick. I'm polar opposite to him. You know, I'm not fast at the beginning. This could be even a race weekend or even just testing, doesn't matter. And I just chip away. And on the race day, all being well, it comes together. You know, we're actually polar opposites in that way. So when Adam got pulled, to be honest, it didn't really surprise me because he was going well in the free practice out there. So, you know, I'm sure people from home looking at him thinking, Jesus, this is his first round. You know, he's done really well there. So, you know, we are polar opposites in that way, and Silverstone went well for him. And I know this weekend, or the previous weekend at Donington, you know, he wasn't very happy with how things went for just whatever reason. So, you know, the tracks definitely play a part in how you ride. Cause the tracks are so different. Like Silverstone's like a billiard table; it's completely flat, it's lovely and smooth. You go to Donington or even the next round, Knockhill, it's just like that. It's just pure. And so you've got to adapt and you've got to learn those things. But you know, both of us raced last year, really, really tight racing, good safe racing for 99% of it. But you know, at the last round in the last race, I just got the better of him in the last lap. I was ninth and he was 10th. But if you look at the first round and even the build up in round 2, we had different rounds. You know, Adam was sharp right away. Where I was, my first free practice was 25th. Okay, I had a crash, that didn't help, but you know, we're very different that way. But I think when when the important races come and it's down those final few laps, you know, both of us can put it together when, you know, on our day.
Yeah. No, like I've seen it before with you. I remember watching you in 2019, sort of some of the circuits, where you actually won on every single short circuit on the island of Ireland. So that you won at St Angelo, Kirkuson, Bishopscourt, and Mondello, which is
Yeah, I think unofficially I was the only rider to actually do that in that year, because St Angelo it was cancelled that meeting. So I was in the Moto 3 race that day and I won the race. But it was cancelled maybe an hour or two later. So the only other race I can remember off the top of my head that actually went out was the Superbikes. And I remember Ali Kirk won that race. He absolutely cleared off. I remember it as clear as day. But I'm 99% sure I was the only rider in 2019 to actually win on every track in the island. So that's a nice wee thing to have in your first year, short circuit.
Because you did the mini bikes in 2018 and you won the title in that year, if I'm correct, as well.
Yeah, I won 2 championships that year. That was my first ever year on tarmac bikes. I tried it out one day in November after a talk with Mark and Michelle Boyd, who run the Irish Mini Bike Championship, and right away this is me. This is what I want to do. We made that change to forget motocross, and to be honest, at that time in motocross, I was doing well. I'd been on the previous year, I was double Ulster Irish champion. On the 85, my first year, I was winning an Irish championship, so I was doing quite well. So to actually step away from that, go into a completely different discipline, something you've never did, is something sort of looking back, it was the best decision I ever made. But it was quite a tough decision to make, because my dad's thinking, you're doing well at motocross, why leave it? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But that change really, it paid off in the long run, because it's put me where I am now. But at the time, it wasn't great. We got a e-bike in December, getting into the new year, and I'd done about 3 or 4 just practice days on it, and it wasn't fast. It wasn't that good. But the first round of the year was at Bishopscourt, and I won all 3 races, which I didn't expect at all, to be honest. And that kick-started my sort of days on tarmac, thinking, yep, this is me. This is what I'm going to do. I managed to win the Junior Gearbox Championship that year against, I had a really good year, actually, with Gary Scott. Gary from Ulster like BSB. He's a stock 6 at the minute. Me and him were going at it for an entire year, and then in the winter, I won the Winter Series Championship as well. So it was that 2018 year to win 2 championships, a junior and an adult class. It sort of cemented that, okay, this is where my future in motorbikes is,
Yeah, I get you. Because I remember, because at the time I was involved with the Belfast and District Motor Club, and I remember just sort of showing up to the Easter Monday meeting, and there was all these sort of I think it was the Young Guns was the class was called at that point.
That was the 125s. We were called the Junior Cup, I think it was.
The Junior Cup?
Something like that.
There's so many different names. There's so many different names over the years. You're just like, yeah, it was that. I'll call it that for the rest of my life, even though it changes.
It was the Young Riders, yeah.
I sort of remember, and then you sort of, as you said, you did very, very well off the mark. I was like, all right, cool. And I think it was yourself, and I can't remember if that was our Alexander Rowan was racing that year as well or not, or was he maybe the year later?
Alexander,
I can't remember.
He rode a 125 Aprilia that year.
Yeah, because there was a lot of racers sort of showed up, sort of younger ones that were doing all right, and now they're across sort of the British Talent Cup, Junior Supersport, Junior Superstock, sort of thing.
I actually remember Easter Monday really well, my first one, simply because I didn't ride really well at it. But there were 7 of us, and I think every single one of us in that 7 has done BSB in the next 1 or 2 years. Off the top of my head, there was me, Reese Coates, Johnny Campbell, there was AJ Carey, Scott McCrory, Alex Duncan. I'm sure there's another 1 or 2 in there I can't even think of, but all of us have went to BSB, since then.
Yeah.
So, that year, 2019, there was a lot of us came into it, and I think everyone's done quite well, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I sort of noticed you sort of through sort of Redhead Motorsport, I've sort of been publishing sort of the BSB results of all the riders, and it is great to see how well everyone's actually doing. Sort of starting out from a wee small sort of area, just a couple of races here, a couple of races there, only 2 tracks, and they're not the most technical tracks compared to some of the tracks in sort of the mainland, but still yourself and sort of different riders, you're just like, that's not bad. The talent that comes out of the wee
it's
Ireland,
great. This wee country for having 2 tracks Bishop's Court's a proper good track. It's
Oh,
something
yeah.
good. Kirkuson's quite a technical track, actually. People don't think it. The layout's very simple. It's left, right, couple of chicanes, whatever, hairpin. But actually learning it and getting the lines
Yeah.
perfect lap time, it's actually quite technical enough. But anyone that comes through, sort of the younger rider coming through, they excel quite quickly, and don't know what it is, but we can all go to BSB or some level of British Championship or Spanish Championship, whatever, and you're not embarrassing yourself.
No.
You're races and you're doing okay. But I mean, people have said that for 30, 40 years. With this country, for the severe lack of what we have, we produce good riders, and we're continuing to do so at the minute.
Oh yeah, like there's some of the riders even at the minute I sort of keep an eye on, sort of the USBK. None of them come to name right now, but I always do sort of see who's the new ones, who's sort of doing well, and sort of, all right, okay, and it's really good to see. But gonna ask you a tough question here. What's your favorite short circuit on the island of Ireland? So Bishop's Court, Kirkuson, St Angelo, and then Mondello.
Without a doubt, St Angelo. What a place!
Really?
It's just mental. I love it. I did it once, and I thought myself. I remember arriving on the Friday night, and I was like, "Where's the track?" Because I had no idea, never been there. I had no idea where the track was. And I remember Johnny Campbell pointing and goes, "It's over there." So I was like, "Right, head on." I went walking around the track, and it was just pure moss or bumps or the corners were like you only knew there was a corner because there was a bale right in front of you. There's a few corners you fall off, you're going to shoot in the barbed wire fence. It's totally, but I don't know. I just loved it. It was just right up my street. When you compare it to what we do, at the minute in BSB, it's not a good track, but it's the most fun I've ever had. I've said that since 2019. It's the most fun I've ever had in a motorbike. It's just a mental wee track for all it is. Now that was the most cracked. But I love Mondello. I really love Mondello as well. The big track of Mondello is something really good. They resurfaced a lot of it. I don't know when, but for last year it was resurfaced, and I mean the tarmac's good now. It's really grippy, and it's a real good track. It's really underrated, to be honest, because it's the way the championships work over here. It's you either do just Ulster or just Mondello. Very few riders mix. Where I've been lucky, I've had the opportunity to mix between both for the 2 years that I've raced at home, and it's a really, really underrated track. I really enjoy Mondello, but St Angelo just holds me place.
Oh yeah, it's the Enniskillen club runs St Angelo, and I remember being at one of their road races as well, and it always seemed to know their tracks. Like,
yeah, I like that club. I know Big Rodney. Big Rodney's a good lad, so I like that club. Decent people in it, and enjoy the track. Yeah.
And then I remember watching one of the Mondello races when they did their live stream. I remember watching it and thinking, "Oh, this is class!" Just seeing them all go around, I was like, "That's some track."
Oh, it's just for me. For Mondello put on a really good event. They record all the races on the Sunday, so the way they do their events, because there's 3 races. One weekend you get 2 on the Saturday, 1 on the Sunday, or vice versa. So, if you're lucky enough, you'll get to watch yourself twice on the live stream. And many a time, going back down the road on the way home, my brother's sending me videos or photos, him with a pint, just watching the race on TV, and you don't get that for on this island. You don't get if you're sitting in the house watching TV on the racing, you're watching BSB or sort of like you're not watching the Mondello Masters Championship. So it's always it's a very good coverage they do, to be fair, and with no disrespect, it's definitely the best event on the island. There's no doubt about it. How they run for a couple of days is fantastic, and it's just a shame it's not going ahead this year.
Yeah, that was due to different insurance things, and the sort of the Southern Centre or Motorcycle in Ireland didn't manage to get insurance, whereas the Ulster Centre did. It's a bit heartbreaking almost, because there's a lot of riders from down south that might have flourished this year but didn't get the opportunity.
Yeah, there's quite a few riders that obviously only do Mondello Masters or only do and I know a lot of them are coming up to do the Ulster Superbike Championship, but a lot of those riders simply just can't afford to do it, so they're down to absolutely nothing. And whether you're a younger rider or an older rider, it's not fair in a sense.
No, though there was I remember saying recently there, Keelan Ryan selling his bikes because there's nothing really going on. There's no events to really race at, which is a shame. Cause it's a shame because he's a talented rider. I remember watching his onboard from Cookstown, which is on Redhead Motorsport TV at the minute.
Yeah.
And he's been great with supporting me, sort of Redhead Motorsport, letting me use his footage. But sort of it's riders like him that just they don't have the backing sort of there, and it's a shame.
You know what it is? It's the biggest problem in racing. It's the biggest problem at all. There's no backing. The way, like back when my dad raced, when he raced to now, someone would approach you and just say, I want to ride my bike. And that was it. And that's how you got in with someone. And it was no real, you're paying someone 25 grand or anything like that. It was just, you had an arrangement with someone, you went ahead and did it. Where nowadays, if you can't fund it yourself, you're out. It's as simple as that. If you cannot fund it, it doesn't matter how good you are. It's game over. And you've saw that with a lot of top riders over the past few years.
Yeah.
Elam's just a victim to that. I would follow what he does quite closely. I know he's went more to the road racing side, but he's stuck in a very poor boat with no Irish road races. So what he wants to do is completely scrapped now. So if you're in that position, what do you do? And to be honest, there's so many riders in that position now. They just can't afford to go racing. Everything's so dear now. Entries are dear, tires are dear. If you want a good bike, you've got to go out and spend a lot of money. Even Ulster Bike Championship, for all the laps and all the amount of track time you get, there's still so much money involved. Having to buy a proper bike, run it, and do all these things, and a lot of people just can't do it. So they either step away, or they can just about manage, but maybe they're not riding the bike they want to or whatever. It's quite grounded over here. I've always thought, because there's not many people have £1 million in the bank and can buy 2 or 3 £50,000 bikes and go and run the show themselves. Not many people do it. Most people that race over here on the island at all are generally going to a race in a van with a mate or their son, whoever it is, setting up a pop-up awning, going to a couple of races and you go home. And that's great for the most part, but there's no progression in that anymore.
No.
And if you want to make that progression, and our nearest progression is BSB, and BSB is massive, so it's really good to have that opportunity, to sail a couple of hours, and you can go and compete in one of these events. But when you look at the cost of one weekend or the cost of a full season, most people just can't do it. So it's just a case of, well, I would like to do that, can't afford it, we're out, and it's sort of that cutthroat these days.
Yeah, it is a shame that there's so much cost involved, and it's almost getting to the point where if you're not riding for a team, you're probably not going to get a ride. The privateers are sort of...
Yeah, you could not have hit the nail more on the head. If you want to be any level of success, you need to be a part of a team. You need to have the brains behind you to set up a bike, to help you with track knowledge and tuition. You need all these things because, it's no longer the case of hop on your bike and the best rider wins. It's hop on your bike. It's making sure the bike's right, and the rider will come along with it. I know people throw percentages. A lot of people say, well, it's 70% rider, 30 bike, whatever you want to say. The way I sort of look at it these days, it's 60-40, and it's 60% the rider, 40% the bike, or even vice versa. If you really want to, you need infrastructure behind you, and that's why I'm a BSB at the minute, because I've had the chance to join a really, really top team, and it's showing, the knowledge they have setting up a motorbike is fantastic. And even just working with a rider 1-to-1, I know if I went to BSB this year, or even attempted to on my own with my dad, like we used to do it, I would be absolutely nowhere. I'd be riding just as hard, but the bike wouldn't be the same. Everything wouldn't operate the same. So you need to be in a big team, unless you are very, very lucky and you can fund it yourself. But most people can't.
No. Like I know myself here from I started up Redhead like in March time, and I know myself, like there's so much I want to do, and I'm just like, oh, but that's like 30 quid a month to sort of do that. I'm just like, nah, not yet.
Yeah, everything's cost, and racing's just really bad. But you can make it work in particular areas with racing, but the biggest issue I think anyone will tell is probably tires.
Yeah.
I've seen recently the MCI are changing to slick tires for 600 superbikes, something along those lines. And those slick tires are an absolute fortune. They're dear than treads, and treads these days are dear.
Yeah.
My Junior Supersport bike are well over 330 quid or something. That's for a Junior Supersport 400.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like,
It's absolutely mental, and that's the part that's really killing riders, that they can't afford to do it. And if you can't afford to put a set of tires in the bike, maybe 20 or 30 years ago, that the real top rider could have shown through that, and they could have rode on scrap and got away with it and got the results probably that were due. Where these days, see, if you don't have it,
Yeah.
you've
No, like you see it a lot. Like tires really make the difference. Like sometimes if like somebody had just riders that don't have the brand new tires going on, they're maybe 2 or 3 seconds back from somebody who has brand new tires on them.
It's as simple as that. And I'm very lucky that in my class at BSB, where the entire class is only allowed 2 sets a weekend. So you start on a brand new set and you must end on your second set if you want to, So we're quite lucky in that sense that, the tire prices and band tires, we can work with it. And it's okay for us. But I mean, you look at the 600 boys, I'm very, very close to Jamie Lyons, and I know his heart's broke, absolutely broke, trying to get tires for a 600 because they're on these slick tires now on a track that's really abrasive, like a Silverstone. But those abrasive tracks will BSB. I know Knockhill as well. They destroy tires in 7 or 8 laps, and you've maybe got a 15 or 16 lap race. So if you want to showcase what you have, you must put a new set on. You can't just do 7 or 8 laps on scrap and then just ride your way around. It doesn't work like that. You need to be on top of these things. And in the BSB paddock, you can just watch people firing their thousands at it each weekend, and they get away with it. But anyone that I know that comes from over here or down south, that they want to go to BSB, they've got talent to do it, but that budget just doesn't allow them to do it the way they would want to. And it's a shame. It's a shame.
I know. That's the thing. Like you sort of wonder, like Jonathan Ray did he come up through with the short circuits at the time, and you sort of wonder how on earth did he get to a World Superbike like without?
Well, Johnny's big break, or what really got him in the sort of the limelight, was the fact that he got through the Red Bull rookies.
Yeah.
Big thing for him, but Johnny's very, very good, very fast, but he's a bit older than what people think. He was in, as silly as it sounds, even though he's still racing now, when he started racing, it was different times, different era. It was very, very strange how those times have changed so quickly. I think he was probably coming out of that stage where it was a bit less expensive, don't get me wrong. Where nowadays it's just pure money. That's all it is.
Yeah. Totally. Like I know there's Casey O'Gorman. He's currently in the Red Bull Rookies Cup, sort of representing sort of the island of Ireland sort of thing. I can't think if there's anybody else off the top of my head in that class other than Casey.
No, he's the only one from. Yeah.
Because I remember he's a talented rider as well. I remember him and Jamie Lyons having some scrap at Silverstone last year in the MotoGP.
Yeah, Casey's a good rider. I know Casey personally. He's 100%. And to be fair, he would get good backing because he's a good rider, and that's what allowed him to get the ETC like he's doing now at the minute. And he's been not lucky because he's earned what he's got. But other riders out there, like Jamie Lyons, I'm not just saying it because he's my mate. He's won a Talent Cup race. He's no slouch. He knows how to ride a motorbike.
Oh yeah.
And you look at someone like that, thinking, how do they not have the opportunity to go and do what they're doing? But then you soon realize actually they did have the chance to. Someone's offered them a ride, someone's offered them something, but they're like, yeah, but we want 100 grand, 200 grand, 60, 70, and that's just not viable for anyone at all. So that side of racing is very difficult, and the way I look at it, the minute, my biggest fear in racing is not racing. That's it.
Yeah.
Anyone goes to racing these days. Well, say these days, but most people go to racing because I want to get a result. I want to win. I want this. I want that. I want to go to racing now because I want to race. That's it. I know that at the end of the season, if the finances aren't there, I'm toast. It's game over. So my biggest fear is not racing. So I want to try and do it as long as I can with what I've got, and I'm not one of these riders that's have all these expectations and goals. I just want to race. So while I've got the money to do it and the backing to do it, then I'll continue on,
because I read somewhere as well, you gave up football for motorbikes. You were talented football and you're right too, weren't you?
Yeah, I've played football in my life, and whenever I was young, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, I just, it was because football's mostly a winter sport. You know, it sort of starts September, October, goes through the winter months, and then racing's the summer. I could sort of balance the two, you know. But now racing always came first. But you know, I played at a good level whenever I was younger. I was in a very good Glentoran team, a very good Carrick Rangers team. But I was 13, 14, you're sort of getting that age where, not that you have to pick or choose one, but if you want to do well at any level, you know, you've got to dedicate more time to it. And no harm to people. I was just never getting it. You know, bikes is everything to me, so I chose that. And well, yeah, it's never really dawned on me, to be honest. I've never had second thoughts. So no, I stopped football, and I would play a wee bit nowadays, but I just with injuries and stuff, I don't risk it anymore. So I don't play football at all now, just for the sake, because I don't want to, you know, get hurt on a Wednesday night when I'm away racing the weekend. So I'm 110% focused on racing, but there's no better way to be.
Oh yeah, totally. No, and you sort of had to grow up around bikes, sort of thing. Sort of didn't have the choice much, did you?
Well, a lot of people think that, and it's complete opposite. You
Oh,
know,
really?
Yeah, people think, you know, I'm named Rossi. My dad used to race. You know, it was just sort of set in stone, and everything was there. It was not like that at all. You know, whenever I was growing up, and my dad would tell me this, when I was 2, 3 years old, I would see motorbikes and I would point at them, make noises at them, just because I liked them from a very. Two of my most prized possessions are the 2002 Monaghan Road races and the '05 Northwest, both because my dad were in it. So whenever I was very, very young, I just watched it on repeat all day, all night. You know, whenever I was in the house, just because my dad was in it and it was motorbikes. And then, you know, I'd watch the MotoGP. So I grew up watching motorbikes, and you know, just sort of that was normal to me. Actually, riding them wasn't one of these things my dad pushed it down me or said, "You want to have a go?" You know, there was a wee PW50 in the shed in our back garden that my brother had from 3 or 4 years below. I have an older brother, which most people don't know. And it was actually, I learned to ride a motorbike the same day I learned to ride a bicycle. So you get a wee bicycle as you do when you're a kid. And my dad said that within 10 minutes, he took the stabilizers off, did the good old, I'm holding you, cycle, all that crap. You know what it goes like.
Oh, yeah.
Said within such a short period of time, I can't remember any of this, that I could ride a bicycle so well within about 15 minutes that he said to my mum, I'm putting him on that motorbike. So he taught me basic throttle control, and then took off, rode it, and you know, as you're young, wee silly fall offs and things like that there. But for whatever reason, obviously I can't remember back as 5 years old, you know, what's going through your head, but I wanted to do it. I wanted to race it. I wanted to get on with it. And then from 6 years old, that was my first complete racing season. So it's just been what I know. You know, it's never been pushed on me. It's totally my choice. If I want to do it, I'll do it. If I don't want to do it, I'll not do it. So I'm in a nice position that I'm in control of my whole racing career, if you want to call it, because a lot of riders aren't, especially from a young age. You know, they're pushed into it.
Yeah.
About 16 years old and go, Dad, I don't want to do this. So I'm in a nice place where, from my very first time riding a motorbike, it was my choice to, well, my most recent time out at Donington there. So it's a nice position to be in.
Oh, yeah. I suppose I'm sort of, I'm not a rider, obviously, but I suppose I'm sort of similar to that. Like, my dad's been involved in motorbikes for 20 plus years, and so he would always go to the Northwest and stuff. And it was never sort of forced out, oh, you have to come with me. I was like, oh, no, I want to go.
Yeah, it's a choice. It's one of those sports, you know, not many people get involved in and leave it. You know, even if you're a racer and you retire and you never ride a motorbike again, you still keep your eye on it. You still who won the Northwest or who won the MotoGP. You know, you always just sort of keep your hand in it. So it's one of those sports that once you're in, the long run.
Oh yeah, no, because you always see that. It's like there's the TT at the minute. It's on at the minute. It's today's the fourth day of practice, Thursday.
Yeah, fourth day of qualifying, a big
qualifying practice. So like you see individuals like there's Nathan Harrison come off at the Northwest, arm in a sling, joining in commentating duties because you can't get away from it.
Yeah, you can't, because at the end of the day, everyone sort of says the same. What else would you do?
Yeah,
you know, I enjoy my local football over here, but you know, if motorbikes stopped or I never raced again, I'm still obsessed with it. You know, still what I want to do, still what I want to watch. You know, I can't imagine living without it. You know, I know it sounds really cliche and a bit cringy, but I just can't.
I get it entirely.
It's just what I live and breathe, and I think about it all the time, and it's all that goes on. It's all I have interest in, because people who have met me or spoke to me, and they've never had any sort of interaction with a motorbike or racing, they just don't get it. And until maybe they go to an event or read about themselves, they never will. And people just think that, it's a hobby, or it's this or that and the other. Don't get me wrong. Technically, it's what it is, but it's just one of those things. It's very, very niche. You've got to be into it to really love it. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's just who I am, isn't it?
Because I started Redhead Motorsport because I wanted an outlet for it, because I was so excited for it, so really enjoyed it, and I was just like, I'm sat over here watching stuff on Speed Hive, and I want to do something.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even race, but you still got that same passion, the same enjoyment for it. So
it is passion, like as you said there, it's just passion. So people who are passionate about the sport are going to be the ones to take it forward. Like you and I had a conversation not too long ago, sort of about the sport in Ireland and everything going on. It's good to sort of chat, and it's great to see. Like I'm 21 this year, like, and you're 18. You were only 18 recently, weren't you? In March, I think. Yeah. Take all these facts.
Sports that there's people who like football, and then they lose a bit of interest, and they lose interest completely, and they never go back to it, or they watch it again. Where motorbikes is one of those things. It's definitely addictive. That's the only word I can use to describe it. I mean, I've watched every single lap of the TT this year. I absolutely love it. So no, it's not a bad sport to be in.
No, it's not at all. Right, but back to the questions that I'd written down, because I think we've gone off topic about 8 times here.
Try to go back to the questions.
So, what is your favorite race you've ever ridden in?
Oh, all right. I know it's just came very close. So the motocross race, it's not even it's a circuit race. 2016, 15, I was away doing British Championship that year in the motocross. I did British Champ for 2 years. Went home to an Irish Championship race at a track called Ferns, which I don't think they race it anymore. But anyways, I went there off the back of a very poor British Championship round. And over here in the motocross scene during that time, I would have been a front runner, sort of week in, week out on the 65 class anyways. And went to Ferns, track I absolutely love, and I crashed in turn 1. And the competitors I was racing against were also doing British Championship, and they had a really good round previously. So they were going there, high hopes, going to do the business. This is going to be how it's going. I'm leaving here number 1. It was all out there, so to speak. And I don't know how I qualified, but I went in the race 1 going, right, these people have this race 1 before it's even started, so I'll do my best, do what I can. And I crashed at turn 1. Brilliant. Well done. Idiot. Crashed at turn 1. Got back up as quickly as I could, as you do, and then got going again. And I just chipped the riders off lap by lap by lap. And the rider that was leading the race was also racing British Championship. Real good pilot, real good bags. Everything was just, he had the race won. He had 15 seconds or 20 seconds, something really, really silly. And I was going for it, and I caught him, and with 2 laps to go, sort of see him on the last lap, caught him, and there's a big jump out the back. So as a spectator, the riders go out of sight, and then they come back up in the air. That's how you see them again. And I remember coming up behind him thinking, I was so close. It was one of them ones that was like another lap later in my head. And I came over the jump, and actually I jumped just further than him, and he had landed before me. So I jumped past him sort of in the air, but because he was on the ground before me, he got the drive and he took off into the last corner. But in the last corner, I just dumped up the inside of him. Proper motocross, block pass, right out of the way. And that was probably the best race ever, because I was riding against really good competition in the British Championship. I fell off in the race. I'm probably 30 seconds or even maybe more behind on lap 1. Mm-hmm. So to actually come away with it, that win was massive for that year. So it's one of those races most people will have never heard of it, but it was a big thing to me and my dad at the time.
Yeah, fair enough. And what are your sort of plan for the year? Like, so you've already mentioned BSB. You're in the Supersport Champions or the Junior Supersport Championship for the year. So, what else have you planned for the year?
To be honest, nothing.
No,
It's our sole focus at the minute is BSB and getting the full season under our belt. The wee brothers racing Ulster Championship, so in
Yeah.
between my own racing, I'll be totally focusing on him. The focus this weekend's on him at Kirkson. So in between my own racing, I'll do my best to help him out in whatever way I can. But for me, it's just getting the full championship, under my belt, the full 8 rounds, 16 races, and then there's no expectation, there's no goals. There's a very small goal within our team, and it's literally go out and have fun. That's it. That's all I get told. There's none of this, right? We need this amount of points or this position is go out and have fun. And if you're having no fun, then there's no point sort of doing it. So it's we're in a nice place at the minute.
Oh yeah, that's a great place to be. I remember hearing my dad to say to riders, don't even think about the points, just go have fun. That's the only way. That's the whole point of this sport. Have fun. If you're not enjoying it, find where you're enjoying it again.
Because most riders base their own abilities or the base whatever they have in themselves on a result. If my ability at BSB is top 30 and I'm in the top 30, that's a win to me. That's an achievement.
Oh, totally.
And a lot of riders don't understand their abilities. So a lot of riders might be, say a rider's 15th, but he wants to be in the top 5. But his abilities only allow him to be in the top 15. Then that rider needs to learn that, understand that, so that they can go to the next race knowing that, okay, see if I'm in the top 15, sort of where my abilities are, then that's where I need to be and that's where I want to be. So with me, there's not a lot at all. It's go out, enjoy your race, do what you can. Do your best, because races, BSB at the minute, there's just under 40 of us out in track. Things happen every lap. People fall off, run your way, stick you on the gravel, whatever. And you can sort of huff and moan if you want, or else you just get on with it. And at the minute, we're just getting on with it, doing what we can. And if I play our cards right, I can get a good result in a good race. And that's, I'm happy with that,
Oh yeah, totally. It's great to see you doing so well in the championship, and I'd always sit and watch the BSB. Just sometimes your races are televised, sometimes they aren't.
Yeah, hard to come across it on TV sometimes. Even if you do get it on TV, you might only get half a race. But things are going. As I say, we had no expectation coming into the championship or into the year. So I mean, if it was last, then okay. If it was first, then it was first. So at the minute, in the first 4 races of the championship, we sort of proved that I'm in and around that top 10 mark, and it's not a goal to be there because I don't set expectations, but it would be nice to continue that sort of form, knowing that I can I'm edging closer to running at the very, very front, and hopefully one day battling for podiums.
Yeah. Well, I think that's that. We'll finish our chat there because I don't even know how long we've been on, but I think it's been about 30 minutes, 40 minutes at the minute.
Time by me.
That's whatever it is. So finish there and say best of luck to your brother Bailey at the USBK round 4 this weekend, and best of luck for Knock Hill in 2 weeks.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be on here. I've never done this kind of stuff before, so thanks for inviting me.
Never done this before either. This is my first one, so I don't think it went too badly. Maybe the next ones will be a bit more in order, sort of thing. Not all over the place. So I'm gonna end it. I'm gonna end the recording here, and we'll finish with the call whenever. So thanks very much for agreeing to come on. It's tough to start something new, but we'll give it a go.
Happy to be the first. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Yes.
Cheers.